Okay, so let's start this rigging and animation tutorial in Blender. Here, as you can see, I have modeled a robotic arm in Blender, and now we're going to rig it and animate it for Unity. So for rigging anything in Blender, we'll start by pressing Shift plus A and add an armature, a single bone. Now we have added a single bone, but as you can see, it's not visible. So we'll come here. Here you can see in the object data properties. Go scroll down in the viewport display menu. Just check this option in front so that from any view your bone is visible, like it will not be hidden by any geometry. Now we're going to press tab to enter the edit mode so that we may add more bones to fit the geometry of our robotic arm. Now as you can see, the bone has three parts: the body, the head and the tail. The head is here, this is the head, and this is the tail. So we're going to select this tail and we're going to move it by pressing G, or I'll just activate this item right here, the move key, and I'll just move the tail along the Z axis. Then I'll extrude another bone from this tail by pressing E and move the cursor to the suitable position, which is right here. Right. Then I'll press E again, move the cursor, and as you can see, the extruded bone moves along with the cursor. You can place it anywhere you like. So you can place it here, but I'll place it here because here's what I need it to be. I'll extrude it once more. There. Now I'll add some more bones for these pincers. Here. There. Some more bones here and there. Now most of the bones have been added, but only one bone is remaining, which is the inverse kinematic target bone. I'll explain to you in a bit what it does. Just let me add it first. I'll press E once again and add that bone. And that okay. Now I'm going to select the body of that target bone which I've recently added. Press Alt plus P and clear the parent of that bone. So now this bone is free to move on its own, and we are going to use it to influence this whole armature. So yeah, let's enter the pose mode by you can enter the pose mode by selecting your armature and going here. So yeah, so we're going to rig this model using inverse kinematics, and we are going to basically apply inverse kinematics on this bone, and the target for that will be this IK target bone that we have recently added. I'm going to select our target bone, or this bone to which our inverse kinematics is added. I'm going to select this bone, go here, go to bone constraints, inverse kinematics, target, armature, bone, select this bone, press F2 to rename it so that it becomes easier in the animation. I'll name it as IK target. Remember that you can rename any object or any bone using the F2 key. Press F2. You can rename it anything as you like. So okay, select this bone once again. The target bone should be the IK target. Okay, so as you may see, this line is going till here. This is basically the chain length, and what it means is how many bones are affected by the IK chain length. So right now it's 0, but it's going all the way up to here. So when it's at 0, the chain length goes to the root of the armature, or the origin from where the armature is originating, or where the origin of the armature is. Now what we're going to do is increase the chain length to 3, because we want to move only these 3 bones, not this bone, as you may see in any robotic arm. Now select our target bone and press G, or I'll just do this since it's easier for me. As you may see, our armature is moving, not our model, because we have not parented it to the armature, but that's okay, we'll parent it later. Now as you may see, the armature is moving as we thought it should. Now let me show you how the chain length would have affected it. If I decrease the chain length to 0 and select our target and move it, this is how it would be, which is rather unpleasant and not how a robotic armature works. Let me pump that up to 3 once again. Now we're done. Okay, so we're left with rigging these pincers. So what we're going to do here is select this bone, shift select this bone, and press Control Shift plus C. Right, Control Shift plus C pops up this bone constraint menu. But this might be a bit easier for harder for you to remember, since this is based on keyboard hotkeys. So I'll show you much easier way. Just select the bone, go to bone constraints, and select this copy rotation option. The target should be this bone. I'll rename it to pincer 1 by pressing the F2 key, and this bone as pincer 2. Okay, pincer 1. Now you see that our bone has been rotated from its original position. That's because the target and the owner are not what it should be. It should always be the local space if you are going to copy rotations from one bone to another. Now what has happened is, just a second, I'll hide the other collection so that it's more easier to see what's happening. So what's happening is, this bone, which is highlighted in green, is copying the rotation of this bone, which is our pincer 1. So if I rotate this bone right here, you can see that this bone is copying the rotations of that bone, like so. If I open up the pincer, it opens the lower bones also rotate its conjunction to the lower bone also rotates in conjunction to this bone. I'll press Ctrl plus Z. Some similar thing we are going to do with this bone. We'll add a copy rotation constraint to it from this panel right here, the bone constraints panel, and the target would be armature. The bone would be pincer 2, which is this bone, which we had recently renamed, and the target and owner should always be local space. So as you can see, I move this, the pincer also moves as it should, as we expected it should. Now okay, so the rigging is done. Let's move on forward with parenting the armature to this object right here, the pedestal or the stand of our robotic arm, and then shift select the armature, press Control Tab, select this bone right here, which is lying over this object. So one thing that you must note that while parenting the object to the armature, you must note that the bone which lies over the object should be selected, so that the bone can directly influence the geometry and move the armature and the object as we wish. And then press Ctrl plus P, set parent to bone. So now if I move this bone, this stand also moves. I am moving this by pressing G, which is the hotkey for to move anything in Blender. Then I'll select this bone, press Ctrl plus Tab, which pops us in the object mode. Select this this bit right here, shift select the armature, press Ctrl plus Tab, or just go to pose mode, which is the shortcut, whichever you feel like. Ctrl plus P, set parent to bone, and we'll keep doing this until our armature is rigged. Like select this bit, select the armature, Ctrl plus P, set parent to bone, select go to object mode, select this bone, Ctrl plus P, parent to bone. Now if you may see, look right now, if you select the target, since most of our objects are rigged, I'll show you what happened. what has just happened by pressing Control plus P and set the parent to bone. What we've done is we rigged and parented most of our robotic arm to the armature. And if you select this uh, the target bone right here, and move this, you may see that the robotic arm is moving as it should. And I'll press Ctrl plus Z so that it goes into the default orientation. Control plus tab to enter object mode. Select this. You may not be seeing this, but there are these pincers that I've added here. I'll unhide the armature now. Okay, so select this first pincer, select the bone, so the armature, select this bone right here which lies over that pincer, Control plus P. I think by now you must have been familiarized with what I'm doing. I'm just parenting all these pieces of geometry, all these objects to the bones that lay over them. By pressing Control plus P, set parent to bone. Yeah, so let's go back to object mode, select that pincer, pop into pose mode, Control plus P, bone. Yeah. Okay, so now whole of our object has been rigged, and let's see how it moves. Yeah, it's moving as we had expected it to. Okay, so we are not getting any weird issues with the geometry. We are not getting any weird issues with the geometry, which is good. Okay, so we have successfully rigged our object. Now we're going to animate it and then export it to Unity, but I'll show you in a bit how that works. Animation, you can just keyframe the animation right here in the timeline, but while exporting it to Unity, you must keep in mind that you have to go into the non-linear animation, and once you animate it, I'll show you what you have to do with the non-linear animation part, which is the most important while animating any game asset for Unity. Okay, so let's just first animate our arm here, right here. I'm going to select the target bone, press Alt plus G to remove any movement of the bone that has happened. Now it's in the default position that we had created it. So first we are going to just animate it moving like this, opening the pincer, closing the pincer, and then moving upwards. Just a small little animation of our armature moving, and we're just going to add some keyframes and then export it. So first, select this bone, and we are also going to move this. We are going to only move 3 bones and animate the whole object. We are going to select this bone and move the whole armature. We are going to select this bone to move the pincer and also this one. So basically we are going to just, these 3 bones will be influencing how the whole armature is going to function. So now I'm going to press I to add a keyframe at the first frame of location and rotation. Alright, so let's just first animate this moving down and then up. I'm going to skip directly to the 20th frame. There's no special thing about it, just I'm going to select this and pull it down, press I to at the keyframe right here, or you can just press this button here, the auto keying button, so that any change you add is automatically made into a keyframe. Skip to the 40th frame, and keeping this target bone selected, I'm going to press Alt plus G. Now it moves. So what has happened now is the bone has now moved to its default position that it was in the first frame. Also, at the same time that it moved, there was a keyframe that has been added here due to the auto key feature which was turned on. Now I am going to press Ctrl Z couple of times. Okay, yeah, so I did not want to add that frame there. I'll just skip right here to the 60th frame. Now I'll press Alt plus G, and again you can see what has happened. The bone moved up, and due to the auto keying feature turned on, the keyframe was added here at the 60th frame. Now so yeah, basically whatever change you do, and if any change you do in the armature or the bones and the auto keying feature is turned on, it adds a keyframe to whichever frame you are currently at. Like I was at the 60th frame, so it added a keyframe at this point in time, and when I was there previously, it added a keyframe there. So yeah, now it's moving up. Okay, so now I'm going to yeah, so as you can see, this also the inverse kinematics also functions in along the x-axis as well as along the yz plane. So first as we have animated our object bending down and going back up to its position, let's just animate its pincers too. So as you may remember, we had added this keyframe at the 20th frame wherein our target bone was at its lowest. So now we're going to add another frame here at the keyframe here at the 35th, or let's move forward a bit, yeah, 40th. On the 40th frame, let's add a keyframe. Let's just move it a bit down, or instead of that, what we're going to do is select this keyframe right here. Basically what we want is this object to be at its lowest. You can also copy keyframes. I'll show you how it works. I'll select this bone, and then I'll select the 20th keyframe at which the object was at its lowest. Then I'll move to the 40th frame. I'll press Ctrl plus C. Now this keyframe has been copied. I'll deselect it, and then I'll press Ctrl plus V. So as you may see right now, this keyframe has also been added to the 40th frame. So during the first 20 frames, our object is going down, it's going down, and from 20th to 40th frame, it's doing nothing, it's staying in that position, during which the pincers will open, and now it's moving back up again to the 60th frame. Okay, so let's jump to the 25th frame, and now what we're going to do is jump to the 20th frame and select these two bones, press I, and add the location and rotation keyframes of these bones right here. No, only the rotation bones, since we are going to animate them only rotating. Fine, let's jump to the 25th frame, select this bone, and I'm going to turn on the auto keying feature. Let's jump to the 30th frame instead to get a much better effect. So you see, if I rotate this bone by pressing R, the pincer bone, that is the bone which is highlighted in green, also moves due to the copy rotation constraint. I'll move this just this much, and then and as you can see, due to the auto keying feature turned on, a keyframe has been added. Select this pincer, press R, and rotate it. The pincer has opened. Okay, so yeah, that's what we wanted. The pincer has opened. Now I'm going to select these two bones and select this frame, this keyframe right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to copy this keyframe to the 40th frame, and what it will do is, if I press Ctrl plus C and then press Ctrl plus V, you see it went back to its default position. So keyframes are basically nothing but just recordings of how the rotation or location or scale of the object was at a particular frame in time. Okay, so by copying those keyframes, what we are doing is nothing but copying how the just setting how the orientation of the object is to how we like it. So let me go back to the first frame and show you how the object has been animated up till now. I'll hide the armature in the outliner or the scene collection, and I'll press play. Yeah, that's good. The we only want up till 60 frames. Okay, so while animating objects, if I select any bone which has keyframes and then go to the graph editor, which you can access by going here, and you see the graph editor. So there is much more to animating than just adding keyframes, but at the moment we'll just show you how to add those keyframes and how to animate objects, because these things they have to figure out, the later of these things are a bit complex to teach and will take much more time than usual. So yeah, our animation has been done. Go to the dope sheet, or let's just pull our dope sheet right here. You can just go to this corner. You can see a crosshair. That's where you pull out new panels or new viewports in Blender. And if you press right click when you get this crosshair, if you press right click, as you can see, you can get this option, join areas. I'll join this area with this area, then, or you can split it as you like, horizontal split. So yeah, that's how it works. I'll select this option of dope sheet. Okay, I'll go to the action editor and rename it to, what should we name it? Okay, pickup. And then you see this shield icon right here. This is the fake user option. I'll turn this on. Now if I select this and go to the non-linear animation part, which is the more important part right now, you can see that this arm pickup animation is added in the non-linear animation, and we have to add what we did is, if we push this button here, right here, this push down strip, it basically sets up your animation to be exported to Unity as an FBX file. I'll show you in a bit how that works. Just press this. This has been unpacked now as an NLA strip arm pickup. Alright, so our animation is done. This is basically how you animate objects in Blender so that you can import them in Unity as FBX files. Remember that this setup right here is important. This setup right here is important because you have to select whatever animations you want to import in Unity. So if I want to import this arm pickup animation, I'll select this. If I want to animate something else, I'll animate that and just import that as another NLA strip here. So yeah, basically that's how animations work in Blender, and that's how we import them in Unity.